But we're going to kick off on matters to do with data protection. Over to you, Alex, and the scene is Northern Ireland.
Scene there, Brian, because our overseas viewers and a lot of our younger viewers will not be fully aware of just how bad the Northern Ireland troubles got and what the repercussions are to this day. What the gentleman that we're putting on screen now should be known to people of my age and upwards who follow British politics. It's Gerry Kelly, and he's now a member of the Legislative Assembly for Northern Ireland at Stormont, and he is the spokesman of Sinn Fein, the political wing of the provisional IRA, for policing matters. That's enough of a breakthrough in itself, because Sinn Fein wanted the abolition of the police when it was called the Royal Ulster Constabulary. Effectively got its way. You now have a new service from 1998 onwards, the Police Service of Northern Ireland. Kelly there was standing at a very iconic gable end, well known to visitors to West Belfast on the Falls Road, which is the hunger striker Bobby Sands with his famous declaration of 1981, "Our revenge will be the laughter of our children." That's just scene setting, because Kelly personally shocked even the British establishment when he became the first actual IRA bomber to be a Sinn Féin senior, blowing away any pretense of separation between the two entities. He himself now, despite all this, and it's exactly 50 years this year since he bombed the Old Bailey and was convicted, he is now being threatened by what is being called in a mealy-mouthed way dissident Republicans, which is a phrase that's come about since the end of the Northern Ireland Troubles a generation ago to mean those who are not on board with the British establishment and its vision for a new Northern Ireland. The first splinter group was called the Real IRA. Later, you got the new IRA coming to the fore. They have been infiltrated by British secret agents, by the security service in the form of popularly known as MI5. And that has caused an almighty row, because this is actually the third data leak from the Police Service of Northern Ireland, the only regularly armed constabulary in the British Isles because of the Troubles, in a week. There'll be more links than just the one we showed on screen in the show notes, because the Belfast Telegraph has been pursuing this all week. What they've particularly found is that even after the police in Belfast had their attention drawn to a particular data breach, not the one that got Gerry Kelly, which I'll talk about in a moment, but another one naming 11 Northern Irish policemen, including rare names, the PSNI didn't do anything to take the breach down. The main breach, however, the one that shocked Kelly, and which he called intimidation of him, was that these so-called dissident Republicans, they may be state agents, I'm not going to discount it knowing what I know about the Troubles, intimidated Kelly by saying, "Watch it, we've blacked out the names here, but here's some names of Northern Irish police officers who collaborate with MI5 and who were leaked last week in a Freedom of Information request." So that's the meat of this. Somebody asked a Freedom of Information request of the police in Northern Ireland last week, and by mistake they released 10,000 names in a spreadsheet and officer ranks, initials and surnames, not full forenames or Christian names we used to call them, but enough to identify a lot of people. And 40 of these people had a field against their names in the spreadsheet that said, "has been seconded to the intelligence services." And one of the links, which is not on the slides I provided, but will be in the show notes, goes into more detail on this, that the defence in a current case, which is gripping Northern Ireland, about the infiltration by MI5 of these dissident Republicans of the new IRA, the defence is now going to subpoena these people whose names it got from the data leak and say, "You must come and test what your role is in undermining these dissident Republicans by infiltrating them." So extremely, more than embarrassing, life-threatening to many. And you have to ask who benefits from this situation. Is it perhaps the British spook state, which stands to gain by not having embarrassing revelations in court, which could now be swept away under the name of, or in the excuse of, it's no longer safe because there's a threat to these officers' lives? I wonder. Meanwhile, thank you to Mike Robinson for drawing my attention to this. Kennedy's Law reports on a data breach at the Electoral Commission. There are three takeaways which these legal writers, it's actually a fairly young lawyer who's written this sharp article and spotted these things. Three takeaways from this, which you can read on the website for yourself by following the link in the show notes. But particularly from my side, I would point out that whenever you read about hostile actors and hacking, as Mike would be quick to add, and I've seen from my previous GCHQ work, you can never definitively say that it was an overseas raid. Both of these data breaches, obviously the surface thing that we take away from them is your data isn't safe and British government bodies are slapdash with it. But secondarily, and at a deeper level, if things go wrong and your data is leaked, can you assume that it was really terrorists and Russians who did it? or not? Or was it something that was allowed to happen? And look at the language that is used, because often it falls a long way short of an outright claim that it was terrorists or foreigners who actually did the breach and the leak.